Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of Liberal White Dudes. I am Andrew.
I'm Jared.
Check test.
I'm AJ.
There he is.
we go.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll fix it in post.
Hey,
Nice.
hey guys.
All right. Our episode today is Hypocrisy. But first, let's talk a little bit about some recent news. On Sunday, President Trump finally signed the COVID stimulus package. There will be $600 checks being sent out to lots of Americans, I guess. He threw a tantrum. He waited until just after unemployment benefits expired, and then finally,
For good measure.
yeah, signed the bill just to make everything worse.
Sure, because why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hallmark of his
his
presidency is to have the opportunity to do the right thing and just not
Just not do
Right.
it.
do
Just
that.
do it and then
I
do it
mean-
wrong. Once you do it.
Yeah.
It's on brand. You can at least give them the consistency.
That's a good point.
We also had a
Sad point.
terrorist bombing in
Yeah.
downtown Nashville. Guy drove his RV down to downtown Nashville and blew himself and the RV up. For whatever reason, he gave plenty of warning, so people were able to leave the area. But domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read a couple of articles that were saying, that some measure of this is the political voices who make no, uncertain terms about being violent and about, crazy conspiracy theories and all of the things that they're generally doing nowadays, just free for all, unchecked,
Yeah.
saying stupid things. Speaking of saying
War
stupid
signaling.
things, Alex Jones tried to harass Marco Rubio at a press conference, and Marco Rubio was like, "I don't know who this is."
that is the worst.
Yeah. So part of
but it's
it is
real,
like,
so.
ooh, stinging, and off camera you hear people are like, "Infowars." He's the Infowars guy. And he's like, I don't know what that is. So it's like
Dude.
that's the epitome of that. But I also feel like people like Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell, they should all know who that guy is and take some responsibility for the nonsense and
creating that
BS
guy.
that he puts out every day.
Yeah.
You're
I think that goes across the board for the Republican Party at this point. I mean, this far into Trump's administration, if your position is where it is right now, you're part of the problem. Without question, you have explaining to do as far as I'm concerned.
We have recently, today, in fact, there was somebody has the more infectious version of COVID, more infectious brand in Colorado. They're not sure why it spreads more. So far they've said it's not more deadly. It's just 75 or 70% more effective at spreading. So currently rolling across eastern London, I guess, and eastern UK.
I remember when it was first broke that they were asking if they think it was going to make it over to the U.S. and then it's like it's already there. Most certainly.
We just haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
Of course, it's
Yeah.
here. I mean, nobody's doing the things,
Right.
And as long as we're not doing the things, we might as well be petri dishes for whatever mutation this thing takes on. They said it has some sort of biological advantage. They're not sure what. It may be a higher viral load, or the infections may be faster, or the infection you may be contagious longer. But they just know that it's spreading a lot faster, a lot better at it. And the news about the vaccine, they said there are no signs the vaccine won't work against the variant. There are no signs that the vaccine won't work.
The vaccine won't work.
Right.
So if you follow
that's good.
Yeah.
Seems good.
Right. I mean, it's
the double
encouraging.
negatives
It's
there.
weird, but it seems good.
Right. It is encouraging. I mean,
Yeah. There's no signs the vaccine won't work against the not possible, very much so variant that isn't.
That is, yeah.
and they're like,
exists.
and of course, today is opposite day. Thank you very much.
Yeah, figure it out.
Take that with a
Lamos.
grain of salt because it is opposite day. So do your.
We're like,
work on that.
which part is opposite? All of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next question.
Opposite season.
From front to back.
For the back.
All right, now into our main topic tonight, which is hypocrisy. The first sort of general question that I've been sort of thinking on is whether or not it actually really matters if politicians are hypocritical. There's generally like big news stories and highlighting somebody's hypocrisy. One of the big ones is Act.tv's cut together this whole spliced together video of a bunch of folks saying horrible things about Donald Trump before the election, right? Lindsey
Right.
Graham saying he was a race baiting, xenophobic bigot.
Oh yeah.
Ted Cruz saying
Yeah.
he's a liar, everything that comes out of his mouth, all that stuff. And then they just lined up right behind him right after he won the election.
Yeah.
Obviously being hypocrites. Does that
Yeah.
matter? Does anybody seem
I-
to care?
I think sadly we're, and maybe it was this way all along and we just didn't like to acknowledge it, but it seems that it is pretty widely acceptable to a very large degree. I mean, for the most part, I guess the acts themselves have to be just egregious enough to get you removed from office before it would really affect your career, it seems. It seems there's no amount of lying or hypocrisy that you can display that would actually get you in any kind of real hot water at this point. Like you said, it's just so many recent examples of it that it's like, is anyone going to make these people eat their words? And no, they are not.
Do you think that's just
So-
because of Trump-based reality? Yeah, because I honestly don't. I don't remember, anybody saying things so equivocal, like the Supreme Court nomination during Obama's term, where McConnell
Right.
comes out and says,
Yeah.
the American people deserve a voice in this nomination, so we should wait until after the election.
Yeah.
And
Right. Oh, and Lindsey Graham saying, remember my word, like hold me to it.
yes,
Save the tape.
use my
And
words
we're-
against me.
And we're like, we did save the tape. And he's like, yeah, but this is different. It's like, oh, F off.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But-
I think there's a bit of that comes from the fact that it doesn't, because lying and hypocrisy on that level it doesn't affect their election at all, really. Like nobody seems to care. The people that would vote for them would vote for them anyway, I think, regardless of that.
yeah.
I think
I just feel like
it's
they
just
get-
politically.
yeah.
I think whatever's politically effective in the moment, like that's what you say.
I just think it's it's just so commonplace that it's like it's not news to them. Like it's just like you can go out and just be like, hey, does everyone remember when Lindsey Graham said this and now he's saying this? Isn't this hypocritical? Do we all agree that? And everyone's like, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it. Yeah.
I mean,
But they're like, that's
what
yeah.
he's saying is so wildly different. I mean,
Right.
it's one thing if it's just like a slight, change of position or whatever. Biden's got a bunch of those, things that he
Sure.
said in his past that he now regrets, and Bill Clinton came
hashtag
out.
crime bill.
Yeah, Bill Clinton came out and said, maybe we didn't do the right thing as far as 3 strikes and Law and Order, and
Yeah.
mass incarceration of African Americans across the country. Maybe that
Yeah.
wasn't the right thing.
Maybe that wasn't the right thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like growing and learning are different than in a
Yeah.
very, very short time frame, less
Mm-hmm.
than a year, being like, this guy is unfit for office. Those are Lindsey Graham's words. He's unfit for office. And then being like, this is clearly my
Right.
president. Everybody should do what this guy says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that flip. I think that flip again is just it's one of the things, because it doesn't affect his campaign and doesn't affect his reelection. In the moment, you just say whatever you need to say, because I think ultimately, the thing is that nobody wanted to work with him. After I think there.
Well,
are a lot- I
certainly
think a lot
not,
of-
no.
Yeah, I think those
Yeah.
folks didn't want him in office. I think that's just true.
Yeah.
I think the GOP
I mean,
was
I-
not interested.
I believe behind closed doors, you could take every Republican politician and just be like, you could guarantee these words never get out of this room. I don't think any of them would dig that guy. Like, you know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
so many examples. I mean,
He's
he's a
such an
terrible
idiot.
boss. He's a terrible person. It's ridiculous. But I think part of it is what makes me sad is the public view. It's one thing for other politicians that are in the same game to let things kind of roll off the bat. Like, the things that Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, and other Republicans said about Donald Trump prior to his election. It's easier for us to kind of accept that because I'm like, well, they're politicians. They're all supposed to be that way. But it's so weird when it's like that the public feels that way too. That we're such a system of the party at this point that, I heard it so many times throughout Trump's first campaign and the second one, where it's, well, maybe I don't like Donald Trump, but I'm a Republican, so I'm supporting these views. So I think that when you come to these hypocrisies, at the end of the day, like you said, Jared, they know ultimately their base isn't gonna. It's not like they're gonna be like, well, that settles it. Lindsey Graham's a hypocrite. I guess I'm a Democrat.
Yeah.
Like,
That's absolutely
it doesn't
true.
work that way.
I mean,
Yeah,
Marco
I feel
Rubio
like-
has been anti-mask, everything, and then just like pushes to the front of the line to get the vaccine. Rolling up his sleeve and
Yeah.
getting a little bit of that there. Could you just hit me right
Yeah.
there with the old?
And it's
just
so
real quick.
it's so
Thanks.
deeply like it bothers me so much. It just like in like a meritocracy, setting where it's like, really, that's why we're voting for this guy, because he ran and because he's Republican. Like that's the qualification.
I think the issue stems from the fact that there isn't enough. This can be said about a lot of professions, but particularly with politicians, it seems like there definitely is not enough consequence for your actions. It's been said many times with it gets said a lot about pro athletes, but definitely about politicians too. It's like, if you did that while working at Carl's Jr., you would not have a job tomorrow.
Yeah.
But you run an entire state. But if you did this same behavior at Lowe's department, you would be fired right now on the spot.
Yeah.
So there's just no consequence. They live in a world without consequence. Like you said, if they're a politician that's in a state or in a district where they're essentially running unopposed because it's, fire engine red across the county, and so it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter that they're a hypocrite. Doesn't matter that they're lying. Doesn't matter that they said one thing and now tomorrow, the next day they're saying something totally different. It's the same mentality with the Trump supporters that are like, it does not matter what he does, I would vote for him.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
some reporting today about how, there's a bunch of Kentuckians who are upset about, the stimulus not being bumped up to 2,000 and wanting their socialism, and their two senators are
Right.
McConnell and Rand Paul, and it's like, hey, you
Do
have
better. Take
direct
better.
control of whether or not your government helps you, and you continue to vote to have it not do that, so that
Yep.
there won't be, safe abortions on your watch, I guess.
Yeah, it's remarkable to me. So I think that it's a systematic issue. It's the fact that it's not because we live in a world where we like to believe that it's enough that the people get to decide who to vote for and who to nominate and who gets the job, but that's obviously not the reality. The Republicans haven't won the popular vote in the presidency since the 80s.
Yeah.
So that's not, obviously we're not going by the will of the people.
There was one
It's
George W. Bush after 9/11.
You're right.
He did win that
That's
one.
right.
There was one.
Well, because John Kerry. I mean, come on.
There was one Jesus.
Those pictures
One
are
Jesus.
ridiculous.
So
If you haven't seen him, youngins, Google John Kerry in the whatever suit. Looks like Herman Munster. It's like he lost the campaign right there.
You're right, with the exception of that one. But yeah, I mean, so obviously and that's why obviously it gets labeled as radical and too progressive. But the truth is, we need a new system. We need to change the system, at least in certain ways that don't allow for this. These, term limits. It needs to be a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that
you know,
McConnell can block
For
everything.
everyone.
He can block a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
and like that can be his job.
Yeah.
My job is making sure that people don't get what they need. That's my job. I sit in a public office and I stop people that need money from getting money from the government. That's my
For the
job.
benefit of the smallest, most privileged percentage of the
I'm just
country.
like,
Yeah,
what?
which he is a part of.
I mean, which he is a part
Which
of.
he is a
And
member
I
of, yeah.
understand that self-sustaining whatever, but
Right.
like that guy shouldn't continue to have a job.
Yeah.
Like it's just.
Come on,
He
Kentucky.
deserve to have one.
Do better.
you should do better,
No
man.
kidding.
Here's
Oh
the
my
thing.
gosh.
Hashtag Go Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's flip the Senate.
Absolutely.
And let's do
Oh
some
my God,
things.
yes. Yeah.
John is working his ass off out there. Hey.
Hey. Oh, hey.
So
It's a war knock out there.
there are a couple examples of hypocrisy, of course, on the Democratic side of the aisle, because, of course, politicians,
Oh my
right?
gosh, yes.
Politicians.
You remember the
Yeah.
big blow up over Pelosi's hair?
When
Like
she
she
went and
got
got her
it.
hair did.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
went and got her hair did, and there was
Yeah.
on camera, and she was inside the
Yeah.
building, and she was not wearing a
Yeah.
mask. And it was like this huge news story, as though hypocrisy matters. They're like, she's
Yeah.
being a hypocrite. She's, and Newsom, the same thing. He like went out to dinner.
Right. With some
Yeah, I
lobbyists.
remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
And
and
I
they're like,
support Newsom.
"Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, Governor Newsom went out to dinner, and he shouldn't be out, and he's locking everything down and closing down restaurants, and everybody's sitting there. He's a hypocrite."
Right.
And then they got to like walk
then you're
it
just
back,
like,
or
Can I
do
show
we
you a quick
care?
Lindsey Graham clip? They're like, no.
That's the
Excuse
thing.
me.
Can I?
We expect that of him.
It's like a standard that we hold for regular people, right? You don't want your
Mhm.
friends to be hypocrites. You don't want your parents or your kids or whoever.
Right.
Your cousin Lucas, whoever. You just don't want them to be
Yeah.
hypocrites.
Yeah. Especially your
we-
cousin Lucas.
Your girlfriend. It's whoever.
There's just things where it's like, yeah.
Yeah, just random names. But for our politicians, do we really? I mean, like as far as the Pelosi thing, I was just like, I didn't really
Yeah.
care. I wanted to. The news told me I should. I feel like it's not on the same level as saying this guy is a narcissist, unfit for office,
Right.
and then backing his play. I
Yeah.
don't feel like it's
Yeah.
on the same level. It's not on the same level as we would never, of course, confirm a Supreme Court justice in an election year. The American people deserve to have a voice, and then
Right.
Just doing that.
smashing
And then
one
just doing-
through 4 years
It's just-
later, right?
It's one of those things too where I feel like that's how everybody feels about it. I feel like that's just how people justify that hypocrisy to themselves is they say, well, it's not as bad as the other side. And I think for Republicans, it's it's an abortion argument or it's a religious argument, right? That's where it comes from, is that place. And I think for us, it comes from a place of like, who should be doing the job. And it's interesting to me that people can get behind people that just conform like that, and I understand to a certain degree that you have to conform to the party that you're a part of to be politically efficacious, but when you're like, hey, this guy is terrible and he sucks, and then just the second he gets in, you're like, let's do it, we're
Right.
into this is our whole
Well,
thing now. It's like, dude, like, what are we like, why
Yeah.
is this
Well, Andrew.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I
I
have
was
a-
just gonna say you made it. I knew you were gonna do that. Andrew, you made a good point earlier, though. I think when you said that there is a difference between hypocrisy and either admitting a mistake or changing position and coming out publicly and saying, "I'm changing my position on this, and here's why." Or also, there are a lot of times I hear Republicans make examples of hypocrisy on the other side of the aisle when it really isn't hypocrisy. It's more, in a lot of cases, cooperation. It's more concession in some cases than it is hypocrisy, because politics is that. And I know that there's an element of that. Like, I just wanted to add that because it's not that we're trying to hold politicians to some magic standard where they can't ever get caught getting their hair did when they shouldn't, or, having dinner with lobbyists after they just came out and told everyone to stay home. Like, I agree, that sucks. Shouldn't have done that. It's hypocritical. But I agree that there is a sliding scale, when it comes to what is hypocrisy on a level that, like, you guys are talking, the examples you're giving, and then what's hypocrisy on, I went to a salon during the pandemic. Both are terrible. Both should not have been done, but.
And they
obviously
always make the argument that what
Yeah.
they said before is also true. They don't go with
Yeah.
the,
They
I'm
don't
sorry I
yeah.
said that. As I've worked with him, I've realized he's not the horrible race baiting xenophobe that I thought he was.
Yeah.
What they say is, well, that was true then. This is true now. Time has
Yeah.
Yeah,
passed.
they just
Or
pretend
with
like
the-
they're always right. It bothers me so much. It's like, really?
Yeah.
You can't even admit when you're like,
Those two things
if
can't both be the
agree,
truth.
Right. Especially with with Lindsey Graham's comments about Supreme Court nomination, where his excuse this time when we were like, hey, remember when you said save the tape? We saved the tape. Here's the tape. What do you have to say? And he's just like, oh, well, this is different. It's like, it's really not though. It's literally exactly what you said. And he's just like, nah, it's different. That's the explanation.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
it really isn't though.
I've
It
come
really
to a
is
different
exactly what you said.
conclusion because what this time is actually different, even though the circumstances are identical.
Yeah.
exactly
This
the
time
same
is
in every
different
way.
because it's someone that I want to be in office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
This
is the
time
difference.
it's different because it's my side of the aisle.
My
That's why.
party, yeah.
Because it's my.
And then
That's
they
why.
tried to lean back on the, Democrats would do the same thing. You don't think Democrats would do this if they had the opportunity?
Yeah.
And it's like, that does not make it right or okay.
Right. Entertaining that hypothetical doesn't. Yes. It's like, okay, cool. Even if I would be like, yeah, they definitely would. You're still doing it though.
But you're still the one
again.
actually doing it, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like just own the hypocrisy. Just be like, yeah,
Right.
we said that at the time because we didn't want Merrick Garland on the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
And now
doing
we're
it now
saying
'cause we
something
want this
different.
lady.
Because, we want Amy
A
Coney
conservative judge.
Island on the Supreme Court. And
From now
I
on,
think I got
on
that
liberal
right.
white dudes.
Amy Coney Island.
From this day forward. But it's remarkable to me also that the flip flopping is just, they're so blind to the difference. But it's kind of indicative of their entire philosophy. It seems, certainly under the Trump era.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you can find examples that predate Trump and his whole mess, but I would say it's grown exponentially under the Trump administration. I mean, it's similar to the contesting the election results.
Yeah.
We're all, sane people are saying this is ridiculous. This has to stop, and they're like, well, they contested it back when he won in 2016. It's like, okay.
Did you see the New
There's a
York
different-
Post front page, by the way? The New York Post front page said "Stop the insanity" to the president. So now you got
Just endorsing him again months earlier.
Yeah, you got Fox News, you've got McConnell, you've got the New York Post. That was the
Barr.
thing about Rubio and Alex Jones, the sort of the takeaway there. And I know we mentioned this on a previous episode, but the idea that the Trumpists, Trumpeteers, the Trumpets, the
Trumpets. I like trumpets because it's kind of feminine.
Yeah,
And
it
they'll
takes
hate
away
that.
their
They will
masculinity.
hate that, yeah.
I know they'll hate that. Break away from the GOP and run Trump in 2024, and the Republicans run their candidate, who presumably might be someone who could be president.
Yeah.
And then the Democrats run their candidate.
And win for all time.
That's a
mean-
slam
If the
dunk for us every time.
I know it's not a popular opinion on this show,
#roadmap.
and if you're a viewer of this show, I don't generally support Donald Trump, but I will say this, and I say it with all sincerity: Trumpettes, start your own party,
Yes.
please.
Yes.
I beg you. I
Yes.
beg you to start your own party.
Your whole
Please.
destroy the GOP thing.
You are
Yeah,
right.
man.
Trump is your savior. Get behind that guy and run him in 2024. Please, run all the Trump family till the end of time. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think it's...
Be the Trump party. Please do that.
Yes. I mean, it's Alex
My
Jones
God.
has been railing against the GOP, and we're behind you, Alex.
Please
Yeah.
do it.
Splinter
Please do it.
off,
Take 'em
break
down.
off, and run your
Yeah.
own candidate.
We're good
Please.
with that. I think it'll go great. I honestly do.
Yeah. There's no way to know until you try. That's the honest,
That's it.
the honest thing.
It's an experiment, We're in
Take the
America.
lead. We're gonna endorse that campaign if that ever happens. By the way, on
Yeah.
this show.
Absolutely. I'll
I'm
put
gonna
up
endorse
signs.
that candidate.
Yeah.
I'll
Absolutely.
phone bank for those guys.
Yep. We'll put up, actually, throughout town, just put up competing signs. We'll put up, Trump if
Yeah,
they were
there you
running
go.
Trump, and then also the Republican candidate. Just put those throughout
Right.
town and let
I
people
would
make up their own
volunteer for
minds.
both. I agree. I'll volunteer for
chaos
both parties.
ensue.
All right, so general consensus is, politicians are hypocritical, and every time that happens, it's huge news, but nobody really gives a shit.
Nobody cares.
They're still
Yeah,
going to
and I think
vote
that-
cares.
how they
yeah.
vote.
Right.
That's just
And that's
kinda
why I
that.
feel like it's a systematic issue. It's not something like we're not going to change how people operate. That's not going to change. So there has to be some changes in the system. Otherwise, this is never going to get better. The hypocrisy is going to exist. I mean, it's always going to be there. But the blatant examples, recent examples that we've shared here tonight is never going to change if the system doesn't change.
I mean, the term limits thing is just so imperative. Like the fact that we still have,
And it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer that term limit should be a thing. It's a no-brainer. Someone should not be making those kinds of decisions that
Yeah.
affect millions of lives for 60 years. No, I apologize.
We're not
Mitch
anti-F-bomb on this show. We just generally
Yeah.
try and keep it a little more high-minded,
Mitch
Hardby.
McConnell, the fact that Mitch McConnell can die in office is so horrendous. Like, why?
Or a Supreme
Why is
Court
that
judge.
okay?
Unless it's
Yeah.
soon.
Unless it's soon.
Sure.
In which case,
Sure.
that's how it goes.
Right.
Unfortunate for him.
But I always point out that I believe that on both sides. It's, obviously I'm not a Republican, I mean that with all sincerity. In every level of government, there should be term limits, and that includes the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
We have a California senator, Dianne Feinstein. Yeah. Who's older than dirt. May have real cognitive impairment. From what we understand.
I have concerns about Pelosi.
Yeah.
Her ability to do her job.
I mean, there's all kinds of folks who are older than your grandparents were when they died. And
making decisions that are going to affect millions of people in the future, long after these people are dead.
Yeah, and you see people whispering answers in their ear, like if you ever watch Orrin Hatch's, sort of coven.
Yeah.
They're constantly stepping forward and whispering things to him.
Yeah.
And it's like, are they running the country?
Right. Or the
Who
countless
is the
photographs
cabal,
of
of deep state.
Or the countless photographs of their seats asleep. Have you seen this?
No.
You see like the shots of like the.
I'm gonna write that down. Orrin Hatch
There
asleep.
are pictures. No, I don't know about Orrin Hatch specifically, but there are pictures of like just random senators, representatives, just asleep in the chamber, like during session, and it's like you're supposed to be doing your job.
They need their
but
naps.
You're also, you're 104. I get it.
Yeah, they fall asleep. They knock over their Metamucil. It's like
their dentures slip out of their mouth while they're drooling.
It's like I get it. Matlock is on at 6.
Yeah, gotta be rested up for that.
I understand, but
that box set of Matlock.
Maybe it's just time that someone else does the job, and so I think those are the types of changes that would need to be made to eliminate at least the long. You're never going to stop politicians from being hypocrites, but we can at least maybe curb the long-term effects of their terrible hypocrisy by building a system that helps
gets fresh eyes every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
On the government.
Yeah. Shellmart619 says, so 0 figs for hypocrisy? Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
0 figs for hypocrisy.
We'll go with 0 figs. On that theme, by the way, we are in the fourth day of Kwanzaa, which was support a black-owned business. So we, at the show, purchased 2 jars of jam from the Trade Street Jam Company. They are not a sponsor, just saying that. It is a strawberry chipotle and fig jam. So it's in pre-order. Won't get it till January, unfortunately. But looking forward to that. Should be delicious. Also,
absolutely.
Uncle Nearest 1856 Premium Aged Whiskey. Also a black-owned business. So we'll drink some of that on the show at some point.
Sounds
maybe
great.
Throw some of that jam on some toast. A couple of black-owned businesses you can go look at. Again, they are not sponsors.
No. They're not, but you should do it, definitely, especially today. I know this is just because I did this earlier today. Uber Eats, not a sponsor, but they have an option when you're ordering food to order from black-owned restaurants. So even something small like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
do
go.
Something.
Lots of ways.
Apologies to AOC.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Can't do this thing.
We have run out of time. I guess we can say, at least as a bright spot, we didn't point out any hypocrisy in her first term as a congresswoman. So you're welcome for that. Sorry you're once again sitting in the waiting room. We will definitely get you on at some point. Maybe
imagine
she's probably got a lot to say about it.
But I feel bad. But.
Yeah, but I'm sure she multitasks. She's probably on Instagram right now. Not so much singing our praises. 0 to 5 figs for hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And remember, you can always subscribe to us here on YouTube. You can like us on Facebook, and you can follow us on Twitter. Oh my goodness, the pithy things we say on there. And then you can watch us live every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Come join the chat. Thanks, everybody.
6 p.m. specific time.
Hey, bro, why?